Order. 7 o'clock. I'm calling the meeting to order. Welcome to everyone that is here in person and online. We're only missing Mike from the committee. There were some other people invited that are here. Is anybody going to volunteer to moderate?
I'll moderate.
Okay, Lucille.
Yeah, I'll moderate. Got to try to get the minutes from the last meeting.
Well, just ask, is there any corrections?
Any corrections? I haven't gotten to the minutes, but have we gotten any corrections? Oh, nothing heard, so I will make a motion that we accept the minutes as written or read.
So moved.
Charlie, second.
Charlie Over, so moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, here we go. Correspondence?
Yeah, as you know, I've had several back and forths with DOT, and some of you have seen some of those responses, but basically they're saying that the flooding around the trails is not a DOT issue, and they passed it on to DEEP to look at some long-term plans for how to keep those areas dry, but I know people will talk about it later, but people have been doing a lot of repair work, Paul and Charlie. There was a request for the next year's meetings, and that's on the agenda. I mean, yeah, I want to talk about that right now. You guys asked for extra meetings, and some of those conflicted with the holidays. So nobody said they had a preference whether we met on a Tuesday or the following second Monday of the month. So rather than cut people's possible vacations short on the holidays, I made it the second Monday of the month, but we do not have this room. If we're going to meet in person, we have to use the meeting room upstairs. So if anybody's got any issues with those dates, this is the last time before the end of the month I have to change them. So anybody got any problems with that? I don't hear anything. Also, I've got a letter from the Army Corps asking us to review their management plan, but basically the letter says that this update will only include administrative changes and will not include any significant changes to management actions, new facilities, or land classifications. So I have, if anybody wants to review their master plan, I guess they have to do it every decade or something. I can give you the link. I'll send you the link if anybody says tonight they want to look at that. But basically, by the end of the month, in a couple of days, I have to write them and say, we're fine with it. We don't have any issues. So unless somebody really, sees something at the dam they want to bring up.
Well, I already have reviewed them and submitted comments,
Okay.
and then I found out that they were only looking for administrative, and I couldn't figure that part out. I did look at the recreational thing. Their comment on the Blaine Bridge is accurate today, but the new footings are in, the new abutments are in. And they are putting in the new bridge, so that will reactivate that loop. And I suggested that they do that they update their text or project when they were going to be done. I also suggested that there's a prime little hike off on the opposite side of the West Thompson Road, and on the right side of the Quinnebog, that up on the hill. that looks down towards where the French River and the Quinnebog come together, but it's the only place where you could see it from, and there's no trails there. That'd be a good overlook, so I suggested that they consider putting one in there. Mountain bike and or a fairly, not really rugged, but not an easy walk for the first few years at least, until it's all worked out. It doesn't, I looked at the contour maps, it doesn't look that complicated. I don't even know if they want to look at that information. I couldn't figure out what they wanted after that.
Okay. Does anybody else want that link to look at it in the next couple of days?
I'll take the link, I'll try and look at it. I wish they would give us some information too. We just happened by chance to find out about the bridge.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, even if we could just have to send somebody to take a picture when they're doing something to put on our social media. So I don't know, they're just not very good with communications, I'll say.
Well,
Maybe I can send you some pictures.
I have pictures and I've been there, but I'm just saying I happened to see it because somebody posted it on a website on Facebook.
Well, that's how I saw it too. And then I emailed Ed Greeno, and I don't even think he replied after I emailed him directly, which I found surprising because he was super enthusiastic to go out there that day with you and David and Amy.
Is that because the senator was there or?
No.
No, this was just
Oh,
the four of us
okay.
for an update, which was pre-COVID, I think. Or maybe,
But
no.
he answered you after that, after you wrote to him.
Yes, there was a reason I had written to him, and then he said, oh, by the way, there's this news, and we had that little meeting. And then I think he's replied to me once since. But yeah, I found out that same way. Somebody posted something, I think, on one of the
I think
general,
Connecticut Trails or
Yeah,
something. Somebody
yeah,
said I
yeah.
happened to walk and, I see some work being done or something. I don't know.
but whatever, I mean, it's being done. so-
Right. I mean, I'm happy overall, but
And it
again,
required no effort from us.
because even that link is just a, for the administration stuff, like I have a question about the Orange Trail and where it comes out on Brickyard Road, like I've never found it. The connection
So
from Fabian.
we should be able to find that.
I've walked it many times and you come to a spot and there's an orange tag and then you're like, where's the trail from here?
Yeah,
I-
I've run into that too. But I think I ran into it coming down the other way from the Fisherman's Walk, and
That's what I'm saying.
I got to a spot, I said, where's the trail go? I don't know anymore.
About a tenth, maybe 2/10 of a mile from Brickyard Road.
Yeah,
And it just stops. Like, I don't know what their plan is. I don't know. They don't seem to
Well,
do anything unless we ask. Like, hey, this tree's down here, and they've been pretty good
well,
with
it
that.
could be that some of the orange markers are down on trees, but that it was marked. Al Landry did the whole trail, and then they came out and they did the permanent markers, permanent.
I heard that, and
So-
you were part of the team that put
Yeah.
that footbridge in as part of that project.
Yeah, but
I could never find, from then on, I could never find the bottom end of that.
Oh, well, that you can walk.
I've gone all the way up to Blackmere's from this side, but not the other way down.
So I'll read that, and just if I have any questions,
You
I'll
wanna
ask.
just take a photo of it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right, that's all the correspondence.
I have a I don't know if this goes in correspondence or not, but the porta potty, generally we remove that in the winter. Do we need a,
I called Earthworks and they said, we know it's there, we're not billing you for November. I said we didn't authorize November, and they know they're gonna get it whenever they get it, but they're not billing us past October.
okay, thank you.
all right. Okay, so correspondence done. We'll move on to finances.
I asked Orla for a report and I didn't get it, so she probably forgot. She said she was gonna generate it Thursday.
Yeah, she sent out an email and said that she would generate a report, and I haven't seen it.
All right, so, but, we had about $5,000, and we'll hear about what we made on the turkey trot roughly, and so it's that's where we were, I'd say we were about $7,000 right now.
And kudos to Brian, who really put in the extra effort and got more money than we've ever seen, and more, not more runners, but a good turnout.
Sponsorship.
Sponsorship,
Now
yeah.
that you guys have a Venmo set up, December is a big month to solicit donations. You should get something up on your Facebook page for that with the Venmo address. You missed Giving Tuesday, which is always a big push day, but yeah, get that Venmo address posted and,
Okay.
you know, write up a call for donations, you know, something generic. I believe you guys are fully tax deductible, even though technically it's not a 501c3, right?
Right,
got a
it's the
question.
towns, the
Sometimes
towns,
people that I know have a birthday wish and they say, here, give money to this animal shelter or whatnot. Can we set up a link like that on our Facebook page?
I know what you're talking about, the Facebook fundraisers. I presume that is possible, just having a Venmo address to send to, but I do not know because I haven't set one up through the Facebook widget.
Can you send me the Venmo?
yeah, I did,
Took a
I
picture of
did
it, but I
write-
got a new phone and I don't know.
I
if
have it.
Can you just send that to me and I'll put a link, or not a link, I'll put something on our Instagram and Facebook pages.
Yeah, and in fact, if you send that to the social media intern, she'll probably cross-post it on the town page as well.
I got a T-shirt report. It's not really finances. It doesn't look accurate what our inventory is, so I have to talk to Brian again. He sent me the spreadsheet, but, you know, we sold a few shirts at Community Day and we sold a few shirts at the Trot, but we should have a lot more than what's showing on the inventory, unless he's had a huge sale week somewhere.
So I did bring the shirts one day and gave them to that
Yeah, I
wasn't
don't
open
think
and.
those are in the inventory. That's
Okay.
why it doesn't look right.
Did you hear that, Brian Levency?
Yeah, on the meeting?
Yeah, I heard that. I think I think there's a box of new orange shirts that might not be included in that inventory. Is that what you're saying, Karen?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I have an inventory of the old shirts then.
Did we order green ones too, or is it just one? I didn't look in the box, I just.
They
looked it
they
up
were
and-
just orange in the box.
Well, the green
Okay.
ones are primarily
green ones
train
were-
wreck stuff.
The green
but
ones were
PVC
already
stuff,
delivered.
Okay.
The ones that you delivered were the back-ordered ones.
Okay. I just know Dave called me and said I have shirts, I went and got them and dropped them off.
I mean, I can tell you what I ordered last time. There were 35 long-sleeve orange of different sizes, and a lot of those were the back-ordered ones. There were 10 train wreck shirts of the large and extra large that we are out of, and 35 of the short sleeves. So there should be a lot more shirts than what is in the, right.
It's a big box, so.
So that's all I have for finances. And-
Brian, if I do that again, should I like send you an email or?
So if you drop off a box of shirts,
Or something like that, yeah.
I would say just an email with the count or what was ordered that should be in there just so we can verify.
Okay.
So if we put Venmo link to our Facebook page, then people can buy shirts.
Theoretically,
They'd have to be shipped to them though.
Yeah.
so you have to figure out all that stuff. I mean,
Yeah, I wouldn't get into.
it's certainly doable, but yes, you would have to figure out what it costs to ship. No
I
tax
mean-
on clothes in Connecticut. Well, no tax from us anyway, 'cause.
Yeah, but our margin of profit is like $5, so if you're gonna ship it,
You have to
add
add
the
shipping.
shipping, yeah, we don't.
Yeah, so that would be mostly for people just to give us money.
Again, I'll put it up there. If
Give us
somebody's a
money, we won't
diehard,
give you a shirt.
somebody's from a different state that used to live in Thompson and really wants a shirt, and I'm sure they'll pay for the shipping if they want. We'll just have to figure that out.
Yeah, you can get.
I don't think we're gonna
you
get
can-
crushed.
You can get postal priority rates right off the USPS website. You know, you're not upcharging on it. You can just say, this is what it costs to ship. So this is what-
If they buy a shirt, you ask them to give $5 for the shipping.
Yeah, but that still creates problems. We'd have to have a supply of,
Pretty sure it actually costs more than $5 to ship a priority envelope.
yeah, big
I-
envelopes and,
I don't think we wanna put this on the rec
yeah, I don't
department
think
to
that
do
I
this.
wanna put it on to the staff and, volunteers even would have trouble with that.
Okay,
Right, I mean, every time you have to come in for one shirt and deal with it each time. Okay,
okay, so we can go on. What's with the new member?
hello, Pat, Sharon or Sharon? Sharon. Okay, so Pat comes to us from the Southbridge Mass Trail Committee. And she has been sworn in and she's a new voting member on the committee. And I hope after this meeting or so that you'll figure out what you're mostly interested in focusing on and let us know what you'd like to tackle. And you want to tell us anything else about yourself?
How long are you working with the Southbridge group? That's,
Who's the one who's doing a parking lot and finishing the trail? That's Sturbridge, not Southbridge?
that's the state of Massachusetts, and Sturbridge guy is, Chamberlain, Tom
Yeah.
Chamberlain. The other people that we knew over this
Are you
way.
talking about the area across from Sturbridge Village?
Yeah,
Yeah, the River Walk, the Riverview Walk, yeah.
Okay. I was gonna ask if you wrote any grants.
he says that, no, for those of you that didn't catch that, Sturbridge is, coming up to Old Sturbridge Village. They're putting in a new bridge and a parking area get you over the Quinnebog River. And then the train used to go right through Sturbridge Village. So they can't do that anymore. So they've got this, Massachusetts has money. They spend it for things like this. They're gonna repair the bridge over 84, and you'll be able to go over that and get into Southbridge. And from there, I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know.
You're going west to east, I'm thinking.
Stop.
Yeah.
All right,
But that's the gap. That gap is as troublesome as Putnam, in its way, because you gotta get down on the streets and find a way that you can encourage people to go through safely. I like that, what they're doing at Sturbridge, so.
All right, well, welcome, Pat. Glad to have you on board.
thank you.
All right, we're on to citizens' comments. Got any comments out there?
No, but I want to introduce Paul Haranzi, who's interested in the committee, and he's been cleaning up trails all on his own.
Thank you.
Haranzi. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I lost my phone.
All right, well, we're up to the trailer, mower status, winter maintenance, and reimbursement for supplies. Paul has given us a itemized invoice for everything he's spent, and so I am making a motion to spend up to $500 to reimburse Paul for all the materials he's put into the trailer mounts and mower adapters and stuff. Anybody need to?
If you want, I can go over it briefly, the list of things that we did. So,
Second first,
I'll second.
okay.
so I got an inventory list. It's just a list of items itemized. Now, will finance, can I use that to get reimbursed, Karen, or how does that work?
Yeah, as soon as we vote,
Yeah, I took
we
it to
can
vote.
submit this invoice to finance.
Okay, great, thank you. So what we did is, the trailer was over my house for about 6 weeks. Brian and John came over the first day we were looking at it, and we got, to get the mower attached, it wasn't as easy as hooking it up. It didn't interface to our, to the UTV. And so I had to do some welding, modifying. We had a little incident at the first time we bent the hitch on the trailer, which I had to repair. And in the meantime, so we got all that going. So some of the issues with that was the mower deck actually has a remote switch that you can engage and disengage a clutch for the blade. So the mower runs, but you can disengage the clutch. And the length of the cable they give you wasn't long enough to go in a cab. Someone would kind of like have to sit in back of the the thing to make it work. So I extended that. I actually physically mounted the thing in the dash and wired it all up and put a connector on the back so we could just plug it in now and you can run it from the inside. The only issue with that, Brian and John, is what the switch did, it prevented you from starting the mower if the clutch was engaged. So they didn't want you to start the mower with the blades running. So right now, it has to be connected to the UTV in order to the plug for it to start. Or, right, because there's no connect, the connector's disabled, so it won't start unless it's connected to the, to the UTV.
I wasn't gonna push mower with it. I don't think you were, so that's okay.
Yeah, that, or we could put in like a bypass switch if you wanted to start it remotely to, to test it or to service it or something.
So, Paul, my only thought on that is if we have to send it in for service.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
maybe
well,
that's something we should think about if we can do something.
yeah,
I don't know.
okay. That's fine.
We can't send a Kubota in.
And as far as the trail is concerned, we ended up, actually, I've got a couple pictures. I could, those two pictures that I sent you, John,
I have them here.
you have them? Okay.
I do,
So-
but I can't share them. I mean,
Well, I can set it up so that Paul can share.
so you can share it, Paul.
Well, I saw.
All right, I have to find them. All right.
I saw they did a really nice job
Yeah.
of hanging all
I
the
was
tools
floored with that.
inside there, so they're not gonna bang around and fall on the floor, and they're just all nicely secured.
Yeah.
One.
Good job there.
That's the
Yeah, so
front
we got
with,
everything hung. That's the wheelbarrow's actually hanging up in the front corner. We had to move the spare tire to the side. And on the left side, what we did is we put mounts all through the left side and none on the right side. That gave us room to walk on the one side, so you get in and out the the driver's side. And everything's hung on a wall. We went through the inventory list. Everything's there, except there's one pair of gloves I think I couldn't find. But other than that, I don't think that's a big deal. Also, I donated a weed whacker. We got the attachments for a weed whacker, small chainsaw that goes on the end of the thing, and a cutting blade for brush. What John and I ran into was when we were doing that, it would have been nice if we had two power tools running, where we had one power tool with 3 different attachments. Only one person could do it. So right now we have just a weed whacker that I put in there, so we can use that, and along with the other stuff.
thank you.
We also installed 2 new tie downs in the floor. There was only tie downs in the 4 corners, but with the mower and the UTV there, we needed an extra set of tie downs. So we modified that. We put a big metal plate in the floor, and it's solid on the floor. We had to get a trailer hitch and a receiver to go onto the tongue. And then I had to wire all the stuff in, and so basically that's about. John took it back. It's sitting at the town garage right now, and if anybody wants to take a look at it, I think everybody's got a key to the side door or whatever. You could go in there and take a peek and see what we got.
I just want to say thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank
So
you.
I'm
thank
gonna say
you.
yes, thank you, Paul, because Paul was about 90% of that, and I was probably 10%.
Thank you all for knowing how to do this.
Yeah,
Well,
because
I-
I think it would cost more than 500.
Well,
500
that,
is-
that
is,
was just, you know, all the labor was donated.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
And I actually have, a couple receipts to submit that we've already made
Yeah.
the money motions for last meeting or the meeting before. I think I sent in receipts for like 150. I think we approved 300. I think I have like $75 more in receipts.
Okay,
Yeah.
Paul, do you anticipate any more than?
No, I don't, there may be some things we want to do in the future. Basically, what I wanted to do is be able to get everything in there that we could. So it was secure and mounted. We may want to improve things as we go along, but for now, I think we're pretty good. I don't know, what are your thoughts, John? You went in there, looked around.
So, I think we're pretty good with what we've got so far. I mean, we might, as we use stuff, find that something might work a little bit different, but I mean, as far as what's there now, I think we're pretty good. The only thing we did talk about, again, that Paul mentioned was I don't know what the name of the machine is, but it's got 3 heads to it. One is a saw, one is a brush cutter, one is a weed whacker. We talked about the possibility of buying another one, like the motor head, so that 2 people could be working at the same time. Because that's what we found when we went out. I was using the brush cutter and there was nothing else like for those other 2 power heads to be done, which we could have used them at the time. They are expensive though. I want to say we might have spent like $500 or $600. So something to think about maybe right now. I mean, we're not going to use it probably until the weather starts changing, but for to mull over in your head about that, the Echo machine, like I said, I think the standard head thing is like, it's somewhere between $500 and
I've got
$700.
the price list of what we paid on everything.
But that
So
was-
I think all those
Yeah,
small
so
tools came from the guy up on.
I can go back and see what the current price is for one of those.
Well, that's the only thing that I can think of that we need.
I agree. I think that it would simplify and speed up things when we do get out there. The only other point that I make is that we need to get out there. We need to schedule work parties and hope for the best with the weather. Maybe if we said, for example, on the first Saturday of each quarter, let's plan on doing a work party on the first Saturday of each quarter, at least. And we might go out and do other work. You might go out for a walk. Here's our friend over here coming to join the meeting, and he just goes out for a walk and he picks up trash. So do I. So that's what we should look at, though, is how we can get out there as a committee. as a
Well, can we
team.
vote on the reimbursement? And I was gonna also bring up, do we wanna vote on expendables? Do we wanna have a kitty for, what, gas and oil and,
Yes, is it?
and what we should, just so that it's already voted, so if somebody's gotta put money in, they can get reimbursed. So would you wanna put another $300, so that it can be,
All right.
On
Well,
it.
I
For the-
think
for
I
the-
already seconded your motion
You did. We didn't vote
to
on
pay
it.
Paul, and I'll move the question.
so is any, all right, we're voting to reimburse up to $500 for Paul to be reimbursed.
Yeah.
Any abstentions or negatives? I don't know how to talk to people on this.
Yes.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Okay.
Okay, so he gets paid back. He's already been approved.
Right, so,
So here's what I'll say. I think $300 is enough. One thing that I just thought of, Paul, is we do need a bigger gas can, right?
Yeah, but she's offering have a slush fund.
No, I know that, but I'm saying I think a gas can would be part of that. I think we have like a 2-gallon one and I think, but still, I'm saying if we use that Kubota and we use the mower, when we use them both together, I mean, I think 2 gallons of gas isn't gonna last that mower very long. So I think we should get a 5-gallon one is what I'm saying. I don't think they're more than probably $30. I don't know off the top of my head. So I'm saying with that $300 you were talking about for gas and stuff,
Yeah.
oil, and
Safe transport of the gas.
I think that would be included in that, because $300 is a lot for gas and stuff. So did you make that motion?
I'm making the motion, you
I will
second it?
second it.
So this is,
So we have a motion for a gas can and expendables for a budget until we run out of that money and see what we need of $300.
so it's basically an operating budget for, trail work.
Right. I mean, and what about driving your truck, dragging this thing around?
I'm not really worried about that. I mean,
Yeah, but
it's gone from my house to the town hall to Paul's house, which is probably a total of, that trailer probably has less than 10 miles on it. Like, I'm fine with that for my truck.
I'm fine with it as well. If I have to pull it, it's not a big deal. Consider it like what Paul did. It's just donated labor and truck use.
Income.
And his ability to design it.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I have one more thing on this. I want to bring up, we don't have to decide tonight, but think about it. When we were talking at some of the 12-town meetings and some of the Putnam meetings, whether we want to talk about lending out our tools to a Putnam Trails Committee if they want to do some work. We may join them on that day, but I'm not thinking about the power tools, I'm thinking about the hand tools. But just think about this, whether we want to partner with them in some way rather than them having to go buy all this stuff, because they don't have a lot of trails. And I don't know how many people they have to go out, just a couple guys probably. So just think about it.
Yeah, and especially.
So one of my thoughts would be, that would be nice if we could have somebody from our, from our group to be along with them, just a supervisor, whatever, to make sure everything's so.
And I'm not opposed to it for its goodwill, and it's also, they don't have a lot of trails in the town of Putnam. So it's not gonna get a high demand.
Right, I mean, if we ever get the connector, we're probably gonna wanna go out and facilitate that.
Whatever happens.
So, again, my thoughts are, just hand tools we're talking about, or
Well, I don't
not?
know, they didn't make a formal request or anything,
So
it just
that's
came out.
my
in
first question. My
discussion.
second one was to make sure that whoever's using it is trained, like we've worried about for us. Like, what happens if somebody gets hurt? Like, do we have to have them sign something? Do we have a sign-out sheet? I don't know.
It's just our
Yeah.
tools, but it's their, I don't know.
The details to follow, but I think in
I don't have a
principle.
problem with it, but I just don't want it to bite us.
We would, I personally think it would be appropriate to tell the town of Putnam Trails, we're not opposed to it, but we gotta work out the details.
Oh, we're charging.
They don't have money for tools, but we'll charge them.
What we might get are volunteers for big projects that we have.
Yeah.
They got more people.
Anything else on the, so what about winter maintenance?
So, I don't think, because the fuel that we've used and all of our things are stable. So I don't think there's any other thing that I've read that has to be done with it. I mean, the battery's sitting there in the cold, but I don't know what we can do with that. We don't know where they're gonna put the trailer. Well, he told me that they're gonna move it away from the building. It's gonna stay near the building for the warmer months, but so that they don't have to plow and shovel around it. He said they're gonna move it to the back part of the lot, so I don't know what that means, where that is.
So that means you can't get it out if it's snow and you.
So possibly, but again, that's something we can work out if we really needed to, if there's that much, snow. I mean, I'm sure, but he, the other interesting thing though is that we took it, and I never know that we took it, and it was at Paul's house for 6 weeks, and we never heard nothing about it. So, I mean, we haven't put anything in place, but I'm just saying, if that thing leaves, who's gonna know about it? So one of the other things, again, that they do have, and I don't know the cost of nothing, but I know you can put a tracker on it. And it's a GPS thing, but there's a fee, I think, with it, and I don't know how much it costs. I didn't really, when I was looking at how we could secure the thing, I looked into it a little bit, and I didn't really get a lot, but if that moves, somebody gets a text.
I think, if you don't mind, check it out further.
Steve Borgia from Venture, who was on the rec commission, I mean, he did the security systems for this building.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if that's something that they can also do, although, maybe not for vehicles, I don't know.
right.
Worth
Yeah, I don't
asking
know.
him though, because he's very friendly to, the work of the town.
Do you talk to him? Could you ask him, or is that, I don't know who he is.
Well, he used to be on the Recreation Commission, but he moved out of town. But his company, excuse me, is based in Danielson. So he's not too difficult to get a hold of. I'm sure I still have an email for him somewhere.
What's the name of the company? I can always call him.
Venture Communications, I think. Either Venture Security or Venture Communications based out of Daniel.
I'll give him a call and see.
Well, check it out, it's a good idea. And even if there's an annual subscription, it's cheaper than the tools. I mean, doesn't mean we would get them all back, but we would certainly find the trailer.
But we should set up something with Rich Benoit that says, if you haven't heard from us in 24 hours and the trailer's not there, and we should send them an email saying, we took the trailer, probably.
That's,
So I don't
Or
disagree.
set up
I'm
a-
just saying, nothing was, we haven't
Well,
set
that's-
anything up, and like I said, it was, I expected to maybe hear something, but we didn't hear nothing. And I just dropped it back off right where it was, so.
Well, we should set up some kind of an
but
alert.
then the other point is if the snow is so deep that we can't get
No,
the trailer out, who's gonna work on the trail?
But you don't want them before the snow or to put it, and then get it locked in.
Whatever he's gonna do so that we can have a friendly working relationship, I don't mind. Because if they can get it in there with their truck, then we can get it in there and just take it, I'm sure. It's just not as easy access as it is right now at the end of the garage, whatever you wanna call
Okay,
All right, we're on to events. Walktober. Brian, you're on. You're on.
I'm
well,
not
did you want to say
Walktober.
anything about October? John?
it. So, I'm trying to think, that was so long ago.
Yeah. Well, we had the dedication day. That was the Walktober event.
Yes.
We know,
We know it.
that was attended 80 to 100 people. And
Yeah,
then you did your guided walk after that, right?
I did it the next day. And I wanna say, I had a small group, I wanna say I had a family, and I can't lie, actually, I think I had 6 people, now I'm thinking of it. 2 people came to go on the walk, and a family came to walk, and I asked them to join us, and they did.
Up to the tri-state?
Up to the tri-state, yeah, so it wasn't as attended as it's been in the past, I don't know if it has to do with COVID,
Yeah, neither do I. I've walked
I've
it,
gotten
though.
80 people on that before, so
Yeah.
I,
Patricia and I were also part of that group that went up, because as he said, there have been times when there've been 80 people, and you go frantic when you got 40 or 50 people and 2 guides. It's hard to keep it all under control, so.
Ryan, did you want, say anything about Walktober from TLGV?
I don't have an exact number in front of me, but I'm thinking it's somewhere like, over 40,000 people attended over the 6 weeks.
Good.
That's nice, but just to kind of put out a word, if anybody wants to, I know in the spring they start, and it seems to creep up on us, because our next meeting isn't until February, and then they'll be looking for them for March.
Right.
So just talk about the spring, if anybody wants to do or lead a hike, to maybe get those thoughts going, so when the applications come out, or, I don't know what you call it, the form.
Bring outdoors. Right.
No, I know it's spring outdoors, but I don't know what you put in. You put in a form that says what you want to do for a hike. They don't print out a book for it, but you'll be ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Correct. Good
The Last
idea,
Green
John.
Valley and Connecticut Trails both do things in the springtime, and I'm trying to get confirmation from Team Rubicon for them. They want to come in and work with a volunteer group to help figure out things like what could we do to minimize fires, and also to provide safety training. So just among the, I've already got this.
I just joined that.
Oh.
There you go. I got a friend who lives out in Montana or somewhere, and she works with Team Rubicon, and she said they'll be in touch. So she likes the idea and she's passing the word back. So, yeah,
Well, I just joined and they want me to fill out this paperwork for deployment status. My job's not gonna agree with that, so. But they do have projects and there's a point of contact in this area.
yeah.
I'm listed as Connecticut, Mass, and Rhode Island because you live in such a small area, so I don't know much more than that. I'm in a listserv that I get information every day from the Connecticut Fire Academy, and they had looked for membership in this area, so I just filled out the form online, and they've been emailing me ever since.
Yeah,
It's called Team Rubicon.
yeah.
Okay.
So it's a veterans group
all of that.
that go to, evidently they do stuff like Charlie said, but they also go into disaster relief. So if there's a tornado, a flood, a hurricane,
Especially fires.
fire, but they pass out food, they, water to people, they, help clean up and fix things, get rid of debris, so they do a lot.
So at any rate, when my friend told me that she was going off to do some work, I said, hey, that's great. I really appreciate what they're doing. And one thing led to another.
Levency, did you have anything you wanted to bring up about potential, I know that you and Renee and I are sitting down with the recreation calendar for next year tomorrow. Anything that would be relevant to the guys on trails?
Sorry, anything that would be relevant to what?
The trails,
Oh, for upcoming events?
yeah, because I don't remember off the top of my head what's on your list and, since they're discussing events now.
Well, the Little League will be, of course, so that'll be for maintenance. Trails committee, of course, could submit a team. So Little League will be competitive trash pickup, litter pickup. So we'll have teams from all over the community creating volunteer groups to compete to keep the trails clean, hopefully in a. Oh, sorry, I've got someone entering my meeting here. It's bedtime here, but yeah, hopefully a sustainable way to keep the trails clean. So that's going to launch in spring in April. We had the turkey trot wrap up. I think what we're going to end up with about $2,700 coming to Trails Committee after the all expenses are paid. We had made just about a little over $10,000 total for off the turkey trot.
Fredo, you want to flesh that out more since that's your baby?
If we're up to my point on the agenda,
We are.
we are. Okay, so I don't have the agenda anyplace here, so. All right, thank you, Brian. Thank you for the recognition earlier, but I don't think I deserve the recognition. My team does. It's often said that, but I know I contacted a lot of new people this year because I knew we were losing some people, but the rec department, Brian, specifically Amanda, did a great job of pursuing people that I was pretty much giving up on this year. So they probably single-handedly brought that total at least another $1,500 up in donations right through the, in fact, the last one I think was after the last race from J&J, who normally sponsors us, but hadn't jumped on board yet this year. So Brian did give me the spreadsheet, which he probably doesn't have with him. This is not final because he is waiting for 3 final bills from the Shopper's Guide, Winnie, and I want to say Earthworks. We did bring in $11,050 in sponsorships this year. In 2019, that number was $8,750. So in spite of losing, at least for this year, Thompson Speedway, we made a significant increase. When I first came on board in 2018, that number was under $6,000. So I've almost doubled it in my time as chair of the committee. If we can get the Speedway back next year, I'm hoping we can bring that number over 13,000. We did have additional income from race wire of $29.88 and recreation receipts, rec department at $1,635. So our total income is $15,673. Again, the expenses are not finalized, but based on what we expect to have to pay from the bills we haven't received, our expenses were $4,749. A couple expenses were larger this year. T-shirt prices did go way up, and we had to do all the signing. First, our promotional signing had to be redone for the first time in many years with the change of name from Putnam Bank to Centerville Bank. All our old signs were now deleted and garbage, so we had to make all new signs for that. As part of raising the silver sponsorship to $125, we also promised our vendors that we would do signage for them, which we posted on site. And that's, except for new sponsors who join us, that will be a one-time expense because we've already got it made out for all our sponsors this year. So we can keep having those going forward and not have to repeat that expense. So we might actually be more efficient next year, depending on increase in costs. If those numbers hold up, the Teague donation this year is $5,461.91. Rec and Trails will each take in $2,730.95. So I'm very pleased with everything, with how it came together, especially after being away from it for a year. I forgot a lot of it. Losing Leslie midstream certainly didn't help my memory and put me in the position of handling things I didn't usually handle. And tremendous thank yous to Brian Levency, especially when he had lost Chris initially. He really had to dive into something he wasn't familiar with. We worked great together. Adding Amanda really helped, and everything came together. Our new sponsor, Dave Kimball, really helped out with the children's race. I had done a couple of obstacles myself as a donation, and Dave Kimball, in addition to their $750 sponsorship of the children's race, also came up with a couple of obstacles and helped run the race. Teague, of course, helped out with running the kids' race. Joanne's husband dresses as the turkey and runs with the kids. They also donated 2 turkeys this year so that we can get it back to being a fun race where the best dressed runners can get an award. And we had 2 families that dressed as families, and they took home those prizes. The only disappointment I had is I just thought there was going to be a bigger turnout because so many people have been away from racing, running, and really wanted to get involved. We did have good turnouts from Run 169, who didn't really participate in 2019. And we did have more sign up this year. About 30 people didn't show up for the race for whatever reason. I know there was some conflicts with track meets that ended up being that weekend if they had qualified for that weekend. Otherwise, we did have a good turnout. I'd really like to see 200 runners next year, though, and we'll be talking more about in our wrap-up meeting what we can do to get more publicity out there and get more runners. And the only reason we didn't have the wrap-up meeting prior to this, as some of you know, I am quarantining and have to continue quarantining through Wednesday, and we'll try to have our wrap-up meeting after that. Any questions?
I do have a question. I have a sign, a turkey trot sign. I picked up, I don't even remember, on the side of the road. It was there like a
Oh,
week
great.
later. What do
Okay,
you want me to do with it?
whenever you get a chance, just drop it off.
Do you have it with you at town hall now? You can leave it right there in the office and I'll put it away tomorrow.
I didn't think of it, but I'll drop it off here.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Brian.
That's awesome,
And
yeah.
now we're on to trail updates, but before we get to that, I'd like to make a comment. I don't know about the rest of the town, but on Route 197 and Route 131, the state actually did roadside pickup in the last 2 or 3 weeks. Guys actually doing with the bags and the what you call it, the the pickers. They actually pick this stuff up. I went out to talk to the guy, I said, are you state or are you town? And he said, oh, no, we're state. And they actually were picking up roadside trash. I don't know if anybody else experienced this.
I go by. Yeah, it was awesome. That place is
Yeah, the
great.
place-
Thanks, that's awesome. Are you good?
Okay, so we're at the Thompson Trail Town Action
I-
Committee.
I just had one more thing on events, just to remind everybody, again, it's gonna come quick. I know it's June, but Connecticut Trails Day. So think of events for that too, please.
Okay, that's in
I'm
June.
good.
Okay, Thompson Trail Town Action Plan.
Yeah, so we have the final product of our almost 2 years with the National Park Service partners. I miss them already. They were so much fun to be around, but I think you've probably all seen it. I know I sent either links or copies of the document. It is online. I think I had uploaded it to either the Planning and Development page or the EDC page, because those are what I'm admins on. I think since one of you guys has uploaded it to Trails or possibly.
Not to the website.
Not to the website. I think I might have shared your post with the Facebook page.
Okay, so maybe Renee put it, because she's an admin on the full website. I just have the certain pages. But yeah, it looks great. They did a really good job with it. Now, part of the purpose of that action plan was to create an action plan. So, you know, maybe for the February meeting, the Trails Committee might want to look at that and see what items on it they might want to start making plans for. You know, for me and my purposes, it's a grant supportive tool. You know, it's the kind of thing that I can include, for example, to CT Deep. You know, if they come around and want more supporting information on the planning that we've been doing, we can show them, here is the comprehensive nature of what we've been talking about. It supports, you know, certain kinds of economic development projects that I would be working on or sending in grants through. So for my purposes, it's great, but it is in fact partly an action plan, just like the end of the POCD had action steps over a 10-year period that were suggested. So incorporating that into the mindset of the committee is, you know, something you probably want to gradually do.
Right, so for anybody who hasn't seen the plan, it's actually the second to the last 2 pages that lists the short-term goals, the midterm goals, and the long-term goals. So you can take a look at that again if you want to do it, you know, don't want to read the whole thing. But a lot of this, I mean, a lot of the train wreck stuff is in the historical, on their plate right now, for them to tell us what they need help with.
Right, and the main thing we're doing right now is hurrying up and waiting on whether or not we get that large grant award from CPD. That's going to change everything in terms of the order of the projects related to Trainwreck Park, how many of those we can get done. Like, we know what our base funding is going to be. If we get $0 from the state, we have $155,000 to do the next phase. That would pretty much automatically have to be the turntable because of the work that the Historic Society has already done. And I will tell you right now, $155,000 does not get you a parking lot. That gets you clearing for a parking lot, clearing and grading. So, you know, we know what our base is, and we know what our top level is if they give us the full 4-to-1 award. We won't know that until January. I am expecting that DEEP will sometime this month or early January come back with additional questions. They have not done that yet. And always the timetables on these things get pushed back, always. I mean, even that National Park Service grant, the non-monetary assistance award, when I applied for that, that was supposed to be announced in October of that year. I totally forgot about it and got a call in December. So timeframes like that are very fungible. You know, you get an idea. of when you.
I think that the FRG grant that the fire departments go for, I think they skipped a year because they kept pushing things off and pushing the awards off.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
Yeah, well, the competitive programs in particular, you know, there's just a ton for these program administrators to review, you know, and if every proposal is as complex as the one I sent in, that's a lot to make decisions about.
Okay, so can we move on to maintenance?
So the goal, though, is to come up with some ideas of things we actually can accomplish
Based on the
on
action plan.
to the February meeting.
So I did include a suggested maintenance plan as a part of that grant request, which was based in part on what Charlie sent me. Added in the Litter League component, because that was a charismatic piece to add to the grant request, but it is something that Brian Liebense and I have been talking about all along. It's not actually trail specific, it's town-wide, but there would be a trail cleanup aspect of that. You know, the sort of quotidian maintenance, that's, you know, what you guys decide.
Well, Charlie brought up before whether you wanted to have a regular, but I think people's schedules are so you know, they're,
Yeah,
They
our
change.
schedules are flexible. Part of the concept of the schedule was to say we would do it at least once a month. And that way, if we do it 12 times, we're okay. But if you were going to somebody for funding and we could show them, yeah, we're doing this every month, I started to work on a spreadsheet to put it onto Access.
well, I was gonna say, if you could earmark, like, it's just not the airline, so it's other trails in town.
Correct.
So somehow we need to earmark what that kind of schedule is out, not just every month decide, okay, this is the first emergency. You know,
Okay.
but somehow,
Well, it's easy enough to add different trails as component modules, but the idea is the basic things that list suggests are things that if we do them on the airline trail, which is where this whole concept came to us from, if we do it there and we're proving that we're doing it there, that's something that people who have money, and I don't remember who it was, but somebody, it came up and said, you want to have this in because the people that review the programs look for it. And I thought, sure, why not? I've been doing those for 30 years. Write one up. It's simple.
You know, just as a practical consideration, there's some pretty good free online tools for scheduling. Sign Up Genius being one. When we had that year where the founding volunteers were doing all the maintenance on the community garden, that's what I used and I was doing it weekly, but you could do it monthly. You could, you know, decide what your days are for certain ones and then send that email blast out to whoever your volunteer pool is and allow them so that you can manage it all online, which is, it's a very simple tool.
And since I sent that draft in, it occurred to me that really what we need to do is say the first Saturday of each quarter. And then people in the town and people around will get to know that, oh, on the first Saturday of each quarter, Thompson, we could do it on the first Saturday of each month. But really, if we do the first Saturday of each quarter as our target, we can go out there and we can take care of those problems that have just gotten out of control for 40, 50, 80 years.
So what's the next date? What would that be then? What's the quarters?
The first quarter of the.
Sign up fee? Free. I mean, you can pay to have more bells and whistles, but the free version is perfectly adequate for most things.
I don't
Worked
know
really
what the
well.
quarters are. Is it October, November, December?
Well, you can
No.
set whatever quarter you want.
Well, that's why I'm asking, like, what do we want to say?
Well, it would be January, if you want to do, you know, seasonally, January, April, July, October.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
And that
that's,
tends
but you
to-
set it however you want,
Right.
whatever makes sense.
That tends to hit, each quarter and get us out there ahead of some of the problems.
That's fine, but it would be January 8th. And I'm not gonna lie, I'd like to try and use the mower, but again, I know there'll be snow on the ground, so that's probably something we shouldn't even really think about, because then we gotta get the trailer there, blah, 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 but I don't know, if we do maintenance, we'll say maybe on the behind, I was gonna say Knights of Columbus, it's not that anymore, behind Drafters. That's a different trail besides the airline trail. I know there's trees down on that. Down towards the end. But I'm also not gonna lie, I don't wanna carry a chainsaw back there because it's about a mile walk in. We could drive in with a UTV, but it all depends on what the weather is. My other thought is, on that date, if we couldn't use the UTV and the trailer or get something like that there, then maybe we do walk the airline trail if there's no snow on the ground, and we look to move any of those obstacles that are in the way. I've cut some trees down and we tried to push them out, but I'm just saying we might have to roll them out of the way a little bit more. I don't know, just look for stuff that would be a hazard to our lawn, our mower, so that we can prepare for the spring to bring the mower out to mow. Would be my thought.
That's an excellent idea that really only needs to be done once.
Once good, yes, like a major thing.
Yeah.
But
Another thought that he brings to mind here is that if we went out, for example, in June, or whenever that first quarter is, and started looking for dead trees and put ribbon on it, and then in the winter, we could go out and we could cut some down. So we could plan ahead that way. Other trails, yes, there are other trails. There's some property there that I think is town property that looks like it would be really nice if it was cleaned up. If you're going up Buckley Hill Road and you're coming up to Route 12, and the channel for the spillway comes underneath the road, there's a stone wall up there, but there's also a lot of area on both sides of that spillway. It's just grown up with weeds. But I think it would be really, really.
now I know what you're talking about, more in North Grovedale, end of Buckley Hill.
Yes.
Over the railroad tracks and you go up the hill towards Drafters.
Yeah,
Well,
just,
some of that turns out to be owned by the bank.
yeah, well, I was just gonna look that up now.
I think he's talking about where the trail maybe comes out of, the end of the trail comes to the road right there. If you look, there's a lot of brush that's right along that part.
All right, on the other side of the fence.
And another thought that we've been overlooking is that there is a public right-of-way that goes from St. Joseph's down towards West Thompson Road. It is, sewer goes underneath it, and it's left rough. They didn't care to finish it off, but it goes along the river. And it's just back in there that it's an asset, a potential asset that we could open up. But that's a future project.
Right, I think anything that's not already listed as one of our trails, we gotta get clearance before we start doing any maintenance on it. We have to
Okay.
know that it's town land and know that it's not, wetlands and, you're on that committee,
I know about some of that stuff.
I know, so, I mean, then we have to sort of propose to the town, can we make this a public right of way as opposed to
So,
the trails we already have?
yeah. Or even, so my other thought too, again, I think those, and my other thought is we talked about the end where the airline trail comes out, or goes in from the parking lot at New Road right there, where we talked about on that. We'll say we just parked in the parking lot, we're headed to the airline, we're headed to the tri-state marker, right on the left there, we talked about clearing some of that stuff out, so cars coming around the corner could see a little bit better where the crosswalk is. That would also be another project that I would think that would be in there. But again, it depends on snow for January is what I'm thinking.
Anything major there, you would want to at least know what the status of the grant request was, because there's a lot of clearing, grubbing, grading
On that.
included in that. So, if you're getting the whole nut, you don't want to put a ton of effort into something that's just going to get done again. But again, if we get nothing, then,
Right.
yes.
This
some kind of
parcel that I was
safety.
talking about shows up as Town of Thompson. And it comes up to Buckley Hill Road, it comes up to Route 12, and it comes back down Buckley Hill Road. That area through there, it would be pretty to look at, but it's just that, you know, it's not really, it's right next to that trail. You have that trail that goes through here.
Right? Oh, you're
And
talking
you've
about
got
lower.
across the canal there, now, that's a funky little, whatever 62 is.
62 is for sale, or it was for sale. That's on the other side.
So the place that I was looking at was back here, back in here somewhere, you can see it in the back.
I'm not real good at knowing where we are. I just know that when we had that woman that was gonna do the plant stuff,
Yep,
she ran into that it wasn't town land, it was
Well,
the bank land.
yeah, she was looking at up here. This is where the dam is,
Yeah,
and she was looking
Yeah.
at there, which is a bank,
I was up there
Wyndham North
with
Property
the mill
LLC.
developer recently. We did a walk on that. You know, if it goes from the mill up to where the dam is, loaded with invasives.
yeah.
Nothing but invasives wherever you look.
So from the mill up to the dam, if you look off to your left, that's the area that I'm talking about. Clean that area out. But, you know, it's more that it would be a gift to the town. It wouldn't be an area where people can go. They can just look at it.
Well, again, I say we concentrate on the trail, on the back part of that trail. Again, if it's, the weather is too bad where we can't get a little bit closer, you know, with the tools or something, then we walk the airline trail and clean debris that's gonna be a mower issue. I say we start that from like the other end coming this way.
Now, you're targeting January, or do you want to try to get
January
up
8th is what I said, and we have to figure out from there. You said the first Saturday of the quarter.
Somebody said the
Well,
first Saturday of the
you can
quarter. I just told you where
redefine-
the quarters were.
You can redefine your quarters to go with the weather though, you know, so.
Well,
Yeah, you're always gonna,
Trust me, if there's
It's-
ice, I'm gonna
it's
wanna be
outdoor-
on the pond.
it's
but-
outdoor activity, so you're always gonna be weather dependent.
yeah,
Right.
So you should always have a backup date, no matter what your regular is.
that makes sense. And if we were to have to do it today, I'd say then let's do the second Saturday. And if they're both terrible, then we'll do the third Saturday.
Well-
But the odds
Every
are,
Saturday,
the odds are probably about
Whole days.
80% that we're gonna get good enough weather, almost any time.
All
Not
right, so we're
perfect.
set for January 8th. I'm gonna take a look at Sign Up Genius, post it on social media.
At 9 AM?
Sure.
Okay, January 8th, 9 AM.
Probably look to go to like, I don't know, 12, 1. I mean, lunch just falls in there, so people
Yeah,
will have. to eat,
anything
so
more than 3 or
hours,
4
it's a
hours,
full day.
people are gonna peter out. Yeah,
Keep
especially.
track of it.
Well, and so if you have a Sign Up
Now,
Genius. that
one of
goes
the
part
good things that
work.
everybody
You can-
should maybe
that
give
out.
a little bit of thought to, we're looking at January 8th. We could do more than one project.
Let's see what we get. This is our first one that we're
Well,
planning. so
Yeah,
let's not
but
write off
I'm
one,
saying
one,
we
two.
should all be looking for something that we can do in case we get a big crowd of people. Optimism.
So again, we have 2 things right now that are
Well,
possibilities.
you can have a big crowd of people, but you can't take them all out on the Kubota, so, you
True.
know, you can only do those projects that are way out.
But if we have the Kubota and we drive with tools to where we need
Yeah.
to be, then people can walk to where we are. And the tools are already there. That's my issue with it, is I don't wanna lug a chainsaw a mile into the woods. But
I'm saying, you know, 20 people show up and, you know,
let's try it, we'll see what we got, and we have kind of 2 potential plans on what we could use people for, so.
Okay, so are we finally on to the train wreck in the turntable area?
Well, there's not much to report there, because it's really just waiting on the grant at this point. So we know what the master plan is, we just need to see how much of it we can execute.
So I'll just say I shared Thompson Historical Society put out asked a question about anybody who knows anything about the Thompson turntable or has pictures or might know what happened to it. I shared it. I didn't share it on our Facebook page, but I will. I shared it on my personal page, so it's there. But I'll just add to that to our to our Trails Facebook page so that other people can maybe see it, get a little more advertising. We have 600 followers, I want to say, to that page, so we get a decent amount.
So that's for the one that got pulled out of Thompson.
Correct.
We're wondering where that might have gone. It's great that we got the one from Putnam. But, there's some stuff up at the transfer station where you could take your yard waste, and it's got big steel things bolted to it, and it looked to me like railroad stuff. I asked Joe if he knew where it went, and he popped the question out. I don't know. It's gone, like so many other things. Yesterday.
All right, so we're on to social media, PR, outreach maps, brochures, flyers, decals.
So we've still got a ton of the ZMaps left. I could walk into my office and tell you exactly how many boxes. I was surprised to learn recently that most of the towns have given out almost all of theirs, and everybody got the same amount. That people have been very aggressive about giving them out, much more so than we have.
Mm.
So, and we had always said that we were going to be not exactly parsimonious, but that we were going to, try to make them last. But this is for you guys and also probably for EDC and branding to discuss, because those were the different committees that really had a piece in it. How much do we want to hold on to those, and how much do we want to, are we willing to go to print every year? We had originally said no, but if our companion towns are doing so, maybe they have more changeable stuff too, I don't know.
But maybe they didn't have map packets that they've been giving out for 15 years, that we've been doing already, so.
How are they giving out now? How are they giving out now?
Just at
Well, it's
events,
different,
right?
it's different for each town. I think most towns do at least what we do, which is we have them here at Town Hall, we have them at the library. I gave a flat to Lord Thompson Manor, but I think it was on the 12-town task force called Mary Dickerson.
Said
Portland
they were
said that
doing at wedding
Yes.
venues.
they were
right.
giving them very aggressively to wedding venues, and I've got a good relationship with Andrew. He loves to have those, so maybe I will, the owner at Lord Thompson Manor. So maybe I will do that more often, just stop in and, visit him and drop off a flat now and then. He sure liked them. But the question is for you guys, where else do we want to give them away? Or do we want to maintain the?
I don't think we want to hold on to them, but we need to give them at events where it makes sense.
Yeah, my initial thought was hold
All the
50,
towns a little bit.
my initial thought was hold 50% of it more or less in reserve and try to be aggressive with the other 50%. What I heard at the 12-town task force meeting, apparently they are being more aggressive. I thought we got twice as many for
No.
some reason.
No, everybody ended up getting exactly the same amount, including towns that didn't contribute quite as much because it worked better for the package deal, which was great. So, but Wyndham is almost out of theirs. I think Portland was close to being out of theirs. The ones that we gave to that Hampton received, I think are mostly being given out through the Goodwin. Because it was almost entirely promoting the Goodwin and the connection there. So I don't know how many they've gone through, but
I think these are things that we could give to some neighboring towns that
Yes.
it would make sense, like.
Yes, and to Leon from Lush Green Valley, apparently they've collected one from each of the town. They have an inventory of them from each of the towns. Who else would it be? Is tourism or
well,
Chamber of
as you know,
Commerce
I'm on
or-
the tourism district. There's the tourism district doesn't have a central location. We don't have a visitors center on this end of the state as they do in some other places. But, it's just a matter of you don't have to decide today. You can decide it. think about it and say, it's February meeting, let's put them here, here, and here, and I'll make sure they get there. Same thing with EDC and branding, you know, where does it make sense to
Well-
tell people about our trails all the
Put
time?
them at, like, the Audubon.
That
It's
makes
just a
sense.
matter of getting them there.
Right, and.
I was up there the other day and I still have 1/3 of a flat and a couple extras. And I was up at the Audubon, I could have handed them in, I didn't even think of it. They're in my car.
Well, my thought is, that I'm thinking in terms of where do most people from town go? Wouldn't that be businesses, restaurants, things like that?
Are we
I mean,
trying
you
to bring,
wanna
are we
reach the
trying to,
public.
are we trying to get our public to go out and hike, or are we trying to get people from out of town to come here? Then we want to get those
Well, we're
spread
certainly
out.
trying to do both, but
Right.
from the perspective of the tourism district, who was a major funder, I would say it's to drive tourism. So you would want to encourage people from outside to come in.
So like, you know, the Webster
So-
Library, the Dudley Library,
the Putnam
Southbridge.
Library.
We've
I
got
mean-
them at the Thompson Library and Town Hall.
Yeah, that's our own people, but what about, again, for the last Green Valley, I used to be on the delivery team, or whatever you want to say it, and I used to go to Charlton Library, and again, that's all part of the last Green Valley, but I'm just saying, I don't think they would have a problem at these different places, they're public places, to put some maps. And you don't have to put hundreds, you put half a dozen.
Yeah, what would be fantastic is if, say, for next Walktober, right? TLGV had maybe a box from each town and they were just randomly booger gluing them into those mailers, right? So you could get one from any town, right? You know, and some of those are gonna
We're
hit,
volunteering you.
well, you probably have to send it to a fulfillment house to get them booger glued in there, but,
But even, I'm just saying, does anybody go to like Dudley Library or Webster Library? I'm just saying, take
I
some,
go
a
to-
handful, and just say, can I put these where
Yeah,
people can get them?
You can come grab a flat from me any old time. I mean, they're just in there. They only live in my office because things end up in my office.
I'm just saying, that's what I think
Place-
we're targeting, so again, Webster, Dudley, Charlton, I don't know. Go ahead, Diane,
Well,
I'm sorry.
some of the restaurants in town make sense because visitors do come to town and if they picked up, and the QR code ties in with the restaurant, so there's the synergy is there.
And a good place would be the Speedway, not right now, though.
Right.
Bogies, they get so many people
Yeah.
from so many places, and Mary Ann is fine with it.
Oh my
She
gosh.
put last Green Valley stuff out,
If we
like,
handed them
sure.
out of bogeys, we'd go through 6,000 in a month.
But the purpose is to get them out, not leave them in Sarah's office, because
Yes.
they're just gonna collect dust there.
Right.
Like-
Diane, what were you trying to say?
A very busy place that we can't keep stuff supplied at is the Vanilla Bean in Moffett. They go through tons of stuff. So that would be a good spot, even though it's not in
No,
Thompson.
that's a great one, because that is a place that people come to from out of town for sure to go to their shows. Are they doing live shows yet?
Yes.
Still, they are doing live shows
Limited,
again?
limited. But a lot of people go there for lunch. I've been
So what
there
about the
several times
Bradley?
in the last few months.
I'd say any of those places are fair game. I can talk to Terry at the Stomp too, probably. There, both days of the weekend.
Anybody going to any of those places, wanna take some from Sarah's office?
I would still like to see people be able to download an electronic copy of that map.
We can, I mean, I have well, it's the printer's copy. You wouldn't really want to use that one, but
I think we should be able to get the electronic. This is, for those of us that were at the 12-town task force meeting, I raised this issue, we're doing something on our website. The 12-town task force is doing something on their website. The Last Green Valley is doing something. The Eastern, or Deep is doing something. You know, and they're all looking at the same information, but it's like we're building up separate stacks. We're not able to merge it. I'm seeing that. I've been seeing it for years, but I'm really seeing it now. It's frustrating. To be able to get the information that we're,
But You'd have to have the platforms all consistent and
That's
the
what
web
makes
is
me,
not like that.
There's nothing wrong with reiteration of information as, because you never know what avenue somebody's gonna get to something through, but to move on to the next agenda item.
But there's-
That's kind of what Connecticut Trail Finder is for, right? To be able to grab that information over time. And that's a brand new site, and they're still doing a pretty good job thus far.
So I don't know who's, when we were on that meeting, the Connecticut Trail Finder, I had talked to her previously, but it's a good thing I didn't spend all this time doing it, because now that airline is supposed to be on there, but I haven't gone back to look at, they asked us to look and see if there were any changes or additional parking areas and stuff. I haven't done that yet.
I haven't done that yet either. I wound up at the Deep website and I couldn't find out where's the Connecticut Trail Finders website. I sent an email off and
It's real easy. If I got to it, anybody can get to it.
but that's the point. You know,
So,
when we do something, we should be able to hand it, copy, and everybody should be able to use it.
well,
This is-
anyway, try it again. The Connecticut Trail Finder, everybody should look at the maps in the map and what they've added to it recently. And if we want to give them any feedback about changing our section of the airline trail. And then I have the fill out forms for all our other trails in town. I just haven't done anything. I was thinking that I shouldn't be doing like Wyndham Land Trust stuff, but I should ask Andy Redzkevich, would he please give information for the Connecticut Trails Finder? And the same thing with the Army Corps. That they need to do their own, because,
Yeah, I mean,
They don't want us to
separate
do it.
entities. They
right,
should absolutely be
right.
doing it.
But we want to get all those trails up on the, I mean, they're working on this site, so.
For a site that hasn't existed very long,
Right.
it looks pretty good.
Right, but there was nothing in our section, and now we have the opportunity to add whatever we want.
Yeah, there's still nothing in our section.
Airline.
Bigelow Hollow is the closest one. Bigelow Hollow and Natchung.
All right, that's something on our agenda, to get that in.
Okay,
So segueing into the 12-town task force.
yep, that's what's next.
So
Reports
there's
from the
been
Green Hills? 3
preliminary meetings of 3 of the committees. So Tara, Charlie, and I were all just on the advocacy, but there's also been a meeting of the infrastructure committee and the conservation committee. So there have been, on that committee, they have sent out a lot of what they call ERTs, environmental review teams of professionals who have been, their job is to highlight resources and things that want to be preserved along the trail or places that want to be connected. So they're ongoing. The infrastructure committee has hired this engineering team to work on what's, the whole bathroom and all that other stuff. And then the advocacy committee has just chosen, they're going to be working with someone to work on the website and a marketing plan.
Yeah, and for the record, it's Quinn and Harry, which is also the marketing partner for the Eastern Region Tourism District and was the consultant that worked on the Easy Map. So the good thing about that is that
There you
there
go.
is consistency of effort. And they're great to work. I mean, they're just great.
So it may be, Charlie, that because they have the files for the Easy Map and they move some of that to the website, it may also then be something that can more easily be moved over to the other sources, or at least links.
We can hope. As I said a minute ago, I looked at Connecticut Trail Finders map and there's nothing listed in our corner of the state at all. So we've got our resources listed on our website, and if I were to just say, here, take this link,
It doesn't work.
it won't work.
No, you have to fill out the
Makes-
form.
All of the airline trail sections that are in the last valley, including all of the trail, in Thompson. It's just a matter of them getting to them and uploading them.
Thank you, Lion.
Thank you. Good.
They're working really hard. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm
the
getting
two young
older.
women who have been at all the meetings on behalf of Trail Finder
Yeah.
seem to have an abundance of energy.
Anything else on the task force you want to bring up?
One thing that I'm waiting for is, I've worked on trail projects in 3 different municipalities, counting this one. And every other one, they had really nice detailed engineering plans that said, this is how wide it's gonna be, and this is the pitch, and this is things like the benches and the continuity. It's all usually taken care of in one report. We still can't get DOT and DEEP or the town of Thompson to agree as to who's responsible for a drainage problem.
Okay, so, I mean, this is back to correspondence, but from the last meeting, I sent the letter thanking,
Yeah.
no, our representative for coming to the
Oh, May.
May. And then I also sent a letter to DEEP and DOT saying, what is the maintenance plan? What is ongoing? And so we have opened that conversation. So that is on the plate of the 12-town task force. That's on the plate of DEEP because DOT handed it back to them. So, I mean, we can't twist somebody's arm and say, I want it tomorrow, but the conversation has been reopened again. But, it's not like Dudley where the town took care of all their trail stuff. And Bukevich got the town to do it. We're not doing it that way, right?
I know
So-
town employees in Thompson, and in Dudley, and they get sent on the trails for the day to work.
Every
It's
other
a matter
trail-
of prioritization and to a certain extent staffing, right? We
Yeah.
know that our department has had particular trouble this year. That has nothing to do with prior years, but
Yeah.
that department does set its own priorities with limited resources.
Yeah. Every other
We are
project.
never gonna have the kind of resources that any town in Massachusetts has. The whole funding structure.
We didn't have much support from the town. So,
But it's a matter of the money. The state's giving them the money to Dudley to do some of that trail stuff, so they'd be able
So
to pay
we're
their
waiting.
employees still, but working on trails is different.
So when DEEP turns around and says, okay, we're doing this maintenance as opposed to the town, then they will have employees that are dedicated to it. But right now, they haven't committed to that. and We don't have that.
That's correct.
Plan.
And every other project, and I thought this one was too, each town took responsibility for its own segment of the trail.
Never been formalized.
And I don't think, I have not seen that as an agreement with the airline trail, but it should be. It should say the town will do A, B, C, and D. The
That
state will
is
provide.
probably a better question to bring up to Jean again in the 12-town task force meeting. To really work out, right, not on a town-by-town basis, but as representing all the towns, what that maintenance, and I know that it's a part of that master planning process.
Right, well, that's part of the infrastructure committee
It's
deciding
been a
how.
stated goal, but I haven't seen anything done.
Well, for a year, nobody did anything.
Right,
because
they're
of COVID.
just having their first meeting. now.
Yes. I'm feeling my own mortality, folks. It's the end of the year and I'm getting older.
I don't have any report from Putnam. I don't think they had a meeting recently.
Okay, so
Um,
what,
Yes, they did have a meeting. It was, they hadn't really moved ahead on anything. But, 2 weeks,
The end of October, the end of November, you're breaking up.
November
Yeah, Lion, if
23rd.
you shut off your video, you'll probably get a little more juice on your audio.
The bandwidth is taken up with the video. There.
They had a meeting 23rd. It was only like a half an hour. Though.
Connecticut Trail Census? Anything?
I have no updates.
Okay,
It's the same people that put out the trail finder are working on that, so I have no updates.
okay, so let's wrap it up with agenda items for the future meetings. You already got a few already, so. Anybody gonna add to that?
Well, what's the next meeting, February?
Next
February
meeting
7th.
is February 7th.
Hopefully we'll have some grant updates by then. But
And probably the agenda should just say update ongoing.
Okay, anything else before we wrap up?
We have stuff on our agenda though, remember, to check out the action plan and see what short-term goals we can start to get done and look at the long-term. So we do have stuff to get done and to do.
and your maintenance plan and
Maintenance plan, we'll do maintenance between now and then, so.
you'll have an idea of how that tool works.
Did we finalize that to say, go ahead and buy the extra motor for the chainsaw? We
didn't
talked
really-
about it.
We talked about it. I don't think we have to make them. I said that for me, I just mentioned to think about it. We can talk about it. We're not gonna need it between now and then, really a
You're not
lot.
talking about another chainsaw, you're talking about another brush.
Yeah,
It's the
exactly.
motor for the detachable tools. So it's like the chainsaw motor, and then you click, and you can put on the extended handles.
Again, I think Karen said she was gonna go down and find out about pricing or look at the old pricing.
Yeah, I'll
Talk
get
about
the
it next
model
meeting.
number from the list and then I'll go.
Because there's no sense on moving on it to get it right now. We should be okay with what we have.
Probably off on a-
But if we do it in February and then we order it and then we can have it for the spring when we need it, if that's what we decide to do.
Move to adjourn.
I'll second.
I'm trying to get Patriot updates. It's slow. Aye.
I believe you have been adjourned.
Thank you all.
They're just kicking off
Oh,
now.
no, they didn't. The pitchers have already had the ball twice and they've moved it maybe 6 yards. And